Hello, West Virginia Baptist Convention family. I'm David Holm, and welcome to Family Talks. My guest today on Family Talks is Eric Kendall. Eric is the minister to children and families at Vienna Baptist Church. His pastor, Bill Brown, will also tell you that he is the technology pastor there. By default, maybe, but certainly knows what he's doing. So the technology's in good hands with you. So anyway, welcome, Eric.
Hi, David. How are you?
I'm doing fine. One of the things that comes up a lot when I talk to people, talk to pastors, relates to children's ministry during COVID and the difficulties they're having coming up with some type of children's ministry, especially online. So maybe you could just talk to us a little bit about that today.
Yeah, the children's ministry in this new normal. I hate saying that because everybody says it, but it's adult ministry is easy in the grand scheme of things because it's still easy to connect, phone calls, email, those kind of things. You can't really have those same kind of relationship with kids, and we know, but we know that kids are online. We know there's different things, so there's this balance of trying to figure out, okay, nobody has a clue how to do this, but we know they're there, so how do we reach these kids? And admittedly, that's been a struggle for us. I don't have it nailed down to an art form, but I think there's some different important things you can do. For us, what we have been doing when things shut down, we immediately started just filming our Wednesday evening Bible study, our kids ministry stuff. We found a curriculum. It's Bolt, or not Bolt. Bolt was our vacation Bible school, but it's a high voltage kids curriculum. And high voltage, they were amazing enough. They released all of their copyright rules. They said, you just take this and use it however you want. Throw it out there. We just want kids to hear about Jesus. And so I was kind of drawn to that whole principle, but they have some great stuff. And so what we've started doing is each week I record the lesson. And like you said, I'm kind of tech savvy enough, that we splice those together with their videos and me teaching. So it's still personal. It's still coming from us. We're not just throwing out a video, but we're using resources they've already made to kind of save us time and resources. And that's been great. We just put those on our kids' Facebook page, and they go live every Wednesday at 6. And so that's been one way to do it. Other things we've done is things as simple as a postcard can go a long way. And so kids love getting mail. I don't know what it is. I've got 2 daughters, one's 7 and one is 4. And they love getting mail. It doesn't matter if it's junk mail. If their name is on it and it came from the mail carrier in the mailbox, they're thrilled. So sending a kid a postcard is something that makes a big difference in connecting with people. Other things, this was not my idea. We have a ministry here that does, they're called the Blessings of Hope Ministry. They do the backpacks. Some people know them as the backpacks, the weekend food for kids in schools that don't have enough to get through the weekend. And they're amazing. Wonderful group of people. But one of them came up with this idea. We were blessed with 2 new church vans last year. Right before all this hit, we got 2 bright new shiny church vans and couldn't use them. And so she came up with the idea, we're going to just drive around in these church vans. We're going to slap a magnet on the side of the car that says, or on the van that says free treats. And we're just going to go hand out ice cream. And I went with them a few times and handed it out. That was great too. We actually ended up handing out ice cream to more adults than kids, but it was still a great time. So just trying to think outside the box has been a big thing in a lot of this too.
One of the things that you sort of alluded to was the not being able to relate to children kind of on that one-on-one aspect with calls and emails and texts and things like that, like you would adults. So that's a really an important caution, I think, for churches, just to be careful in those areas. But also, what it has done is it's made some churches realize the importance of just like an overall family ministry, of giving parents tools and things. Could you address that a little bit for us?
Yeah. Even when we were meeting in person, we really only got most of these kids 1, maybe 2 hours a week, right? if you're really going to disciple a child, it's not going to happen in the church. And that is a framework that we have not handled well, is the capital C church, right? Vacation Bible schools, I love. Programming is great. We're looking to start Awanas here, so those are important. But when you get so programming centric, that all you're doing is focusing on the program, you lose sight of the fact that these kids are getting a lot more hours of influence outside of the church than they are inside of the church. So one of the shifts, I'm personally trying to make, and I admittedly have not done a good job of it, but I think it's something that's important, is to shift to that family model. How do we teach parents to disciple their own children? The Deuteronomy 6 model, right? It's Deuteronomy 6, like 4-9 there. Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God is one. Write these words on your heart, hold them in your heart, your soul, your might. Love God with that much. Teach them diligently to your children. Talk to them when you sit down, when you walk, when you lie down, all these different things. It's just this daily living out of the word. We can't do that for a family as a church. We can't be the ones to live out that model of spiritual discipleship in our children. So I think one of the things that we as churches need to focus on is really engaging parents, because we can communicate with them easily, and they're online too, especially my generation. Jason Dorsey is a great generational expert. The study of generational kinetics, I think, is the name of his organization. But the thing he says repeatedly is millennials are not tech savvy, they're tech dependent. And it's true. And so this new generation of families, my generation and even younger, they grew up with technology. They're on these things. So we can engage them on Facebook, Instagram, all these different places. We can email them. We can set up websites for them. So it's a lot easier to contact those parents. And so, one of the things I'm going to start doing is I have signed up for a program called Ministry to Parents. It's ministrytoparents.com, I believe, is the website. But they have all kinds of scripts on like 52 different topics where you could set up something as simple as an iPad and just film these short little videos. They've already got videos made, but I feel like they should come from me. But, talking about things from bullying to, how do you talk to your kids about, develop their physical development, all these different things. So different practical topics that we can talk to parents about. So we're going to, hopefully here in the next couple months, we're going to have a website set up through our website that parents can go in and access these resources on how to help your kids through these situations. Something as simple as providing parents with an understanding of how to read the Bible. And, how many parents do we have that don't understand how to read scripture with their kids? We're dealing with a lot of unchurched parents in our context. Here at our church, because of the bus ministry we had before, we had a lot of parents who didn't come to church. Their kids were picked up on the bus, and we didn't have a whole lot of contact with those parents other than, hi, we've got your kid. Hey, thanks for letting your kid come. And that was it. So, trying to figure out how to engage them and provide them with resources and inviting them to church. Because they will come. We've got one family that their son started coming, and he's bringing his parents and family now. So that's an important thing. We were blessed enough here to have a guy by the name of Doug Pfeiffer. Doug is the CEO of Life and Purpose Behavioral Health. So we did a couple of videos called Pandemic Parenting. And the first one, Doug came in and he talked about how to help our kids manage stress and anxiety and deal with those things. So if we can provide parents with those kind of resources to keep that connection going, then those parents can start to disciple their children at home. And I think that's important. I went to the doctor the other day. My physician just happens to be a member at our church, and he's one of my children's volunteers. And he loves the kids. Every time I'm in his office, first thing out of his mouth is, how's this kid doing? Have you heard from this kid? And he told me the other day, he said, I think you're going to start to see an influx of parents dealing with anxiety and depression because they are struggling with this hybrid school and virtual school, and they are at a loss for what they're doing. So we're at a perfect time now to engage parents who are looking for answers and who need resources and who want to raise their kids the right way. What parent doesn't want what's best for their kids? So now's the perfect opportunity to help them provide that. And we know the best thing for them is the gospel of Jesus Christ.
I think one of the things that you said has really stuck with me during this whole time is that COVID has reminded us of some things that we should have been doing all along.
Right.
And certainly we confess that we've not done some things very well, but now is a perfect time, as you said, to get serious about some of this stuff. And given the technology that we have, an opportunity to get that material out there. So I appreciate that, and I admire you for doing that. You had mentioned a resource or two. Are there any other resources you'd like to share with maybe pastors or parents or churches or anybody that happens to be watching this today?
Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff out there. If you're on Facebook, there's some great children's and family ministry pages. But D6 curriculum, it's literally the letter D, the number 6. It's based off that Deuteronomy 6 passage that I kind of barely quoted a few minutes ago. You know, but they've got some great resources for family, including an app. You can get it on Apple or Android devices. It's just the D6 app, and there's some really cool stuff in it. They have a newsletter called Splink, I think is what it is, with different resources for parents. They even have my oldest daughter loves them. They're dinner conversation topics, and you go into the app, you push the button, and it gives you questions that you can talk about as a family. And you can just cycle through questions. It gives you ideas of activities to do together as a family. You know, things like that are good resources, and I got a lot of them from there. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones we used. I mentioned the high voltage curriculum. If your church is looking for a curriculum, as far as I know, they're still allowing you to use it however you want. That's what we're using right now, so it's a great one, and it's not expensive. They're a church. Another great resource is Life Church. A lot of people are familiar with Life Church because they created the Bible app that's on your phone, the YouVersion Bible app. But they have a ministry philosophy of everything they produce, they give away for free. So all of their children's ministry lessons are completely free. You just go to their website and look for the resources tab, and it's there. So there's a lot of good stuff out there. Trying to think of some other ones. But outside of that, you know, asking around your community too. We were blessed to have Doug in our community that does behavioral development for a living, and so you never know who's sitting in your congregation that could help. They were part of a new family of the church. I don't even think they had been here a full year yet. But those are great resources. So make sure you're actually asking around for those too.
Eric, you've given us a lot to think about and a lot of good stuff to consider and some resources that are readily available and we can use. So I really thank you for joining us today on Family Talks. And if people have questions and maybe want to get a hold of you, they can check out Vienna Baptist Church's website and go from there. So thank you again for joining us. And folks, we are always appreciative that you take time out of your day to watch Family Talks. I hope you'll join us next time.
Thank you, David.